Oh, man.
Big noise.
Hello, we're finished tropical smoothie. Order whenever you're ready.
Well, Coach Cox, since you say you don't get called that very often.
Not anymore. Not anymore, I don't.
A Tulsa native you are, right?
I am.
Okay.
Born and raised here.
Born and raised, same here. And I know you, I didn't learn this till maybe yesterday, that you played ball at Nathan Hale, a crosstown rival of Central, right?
I did. I played at Nathan Hale, graduated in 1966.
Right.
And after that, I had a little arrangement. I was going to go play in a junior college down in Texas.
Right.
And you know how those things go. Things fell through the crack. So my coaches there at Nathan Hale made a couple of phone calls to Coach Jack Dobbins at NSU. The legendary Coach Jack Dobbins. And I was blessed to be able to go down there and walk on. So I got to tell you a little story there.
I'm with it.
So I go down, I check in with Coach Dobbins. First day I get there, nervous wreck. And he just, Coach Dobbins was the kindest, gentlest man you ever know. I learned so much from him, not just about basketball, but about life and how to treat people. He says, we're just going to be working out here in the gym every day. Just come on down and work out. So I said, okay. So every day before everything started, we'd go in there and work out every day. So we're in there working out, and there were guys, Division I players from all over the country. They're in there working out and whatnot. I'm thinking, whoa, what did I get into here? But we get to the first day, the official practices, and there's got to be 200-300 people in there. Everybody trying out. Everybody on campus that ever played basketball in high school was there. I'm thinking, oh boy, Coach Dobbins gets us all together over there. And he said, I just want you guys to know this, that we got a really good team this year, which they did, #1 team in the nation. And so we're not going to have a freshman team this year. Back in those days, there was a freshman team, and freshmen didn't play on the regular team. So I'm thinking, okay, this is great. So anyway, we go out there, and he says, okay, give me this guy, this guy, this guy. And he calls my name. And I go out there for the first, after we run drills and whatnot, we're going to scrimmage. And I'm guarding Richard Dumas. Oh, now, we're not talking about the Richard Dumas that played at OSU. We're talking about his daddy. His daddy was called X-Ray. And he was unbelievable. And then we had Charlie Polk was on that team, and others. But anyway, we go through the practice, and we practice about 4 days. And he says, he gets us all together, and he says, if your name's up on this wall in this room in here tomorrow morning, you come back on Saturday, and you're on the team. So the next day I get up and I go to class. The guy comes by, he says, did you go over and look at that list? I said, no. I said, I'm not going to waste my time to go over there. He goes, you need to go over there and look. I said, no kidding. So I go over there. One freshman, me. I was the only name on there. I'm telling you, I about fell over. Coach Dobbins treated me, the lowliest guy on the team, walk-on freshman, just like he did Richard Dumas, just like he did Charlie Polk, just like he did. Charlie Polk was the number one after that year, after that season. Charlie Polk was the number one draft pick by the Milwaukee Bucks. The next year, Lou Alcindor,
Better known as
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, was the first pick. So anyway,
Wow.
but what I learned through that experience as I was a practice player, all right?
Right.
As a freshman, I learned how to treat people because he treated me with dignity. And I also learned that I needed to go do something else.
Oh, man.
So I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be a high school teacher and a coach. And things went the other way. I transferred to the University of Tulsa and got out. Army came after me. And
This is the part I didn't know.
did that. Then I got a job in the natural gas business, and basketball just went in my rearview mirror, and it just always was back there,
Right.
back of my head. You know, it just never goes away. So anyway, that's how I never got back into basketball in any shape or form other than going to games, going to the TU games, and whatnot.
You talking about during the time you were working?
Until I was in the natural gas business, until my son was in the 4th grade, and he wanted to play basketball. And so this sign up and whatnot, guys called me and they said, we need you to coach. I said, no, I don't want to do that. They said, oh, come on, please. So I said, finally I succumbed and I did it. So I coached his team, 4th grade. Now he's 43 years old now. That was a long time ago.
Right. A couple blocks ago.
A couple blocks ago, and our team was terrible. Okay, the first game we lost 62-2.
Okay, so time out. Who's scoring 62 points in the 4th grade anyway?
A team that was, in these leagues, it was stacked. It wasn't. Mine was a pure draft. Theirs was stacked, and the guys wanted to step on us. So after the game's over with, I'll never forget it. I go over and shake his hand. I said, we'll see you again, dude. And at the end of the year, my guys got better. And we came back, and we gave him a close game at the end of the year. So this guy that was running the league comes to me at the end of the year, and he says, I'd like to have you help me coach this team. I said, which one? He goes, well, obviously, I think you know what you're doing. So he said, I have this team, and I need some help. And as a matter of fact, I'd just like you to coach it.
Not the Hawks.
It was before the Hawks.
Oh, okay.
So I said, no, I don't do that. I'm busy. I've got 2 little children that I'm raising as a single parent. And finally I said, okay, I'll do it. Well, that team, which was called the Bixby Express, had Shea Seals, Landis Williams, McHale Lovett. You know McHale?
Yes, I do.
Here in town?
I know that is.
I love
Yeah,
McHale.
Facebook friend of mine. I can't say I just know him, but I know who he is.
Brandon Barclow, Rudy Johnson, I could go on and on, the guys had on the team, and I just fell in love with them. And we did really well. That back in those days, you went to the state tournament in Oklahoma City, AAU tournament. That was basically it. That was it. That was what we played in.
What age group were they at that time?
They were 16,
So you went from 4th grade.
16 and under.
All right.
But these were players.
Yes, sir.
So they were 15 and under. Let me back up. They were 15 and under because the next year, after that, I took them to Memphis, got a trailer, got a van. We loaded up and went all over Tulsa, picked them all up,
Yes,
and we
sir.
drove to Memphis, Tennessee. And God, I can't even think of the guy's name. He played at Central. And anyway, he twisted his ankle during layups the very first game. Anyway, we ended up losing 2 games in a row, right? Just nipped us, and we were out. It was over with. So, and they were all heartbroken. But it was such a good experience. And you bond when you do those things. You bond with your players, as I know you know you do.
For sure. It's hard to get anything done without that.
The next year comes around, and of course we're going to be back together again.
Heck yeah.
Here come along Tulsa Hawks, and they were the team.
Right.
Okay. Dr. Bryant, who's one of my very closest friends, and Alan actually was the coach there. They came and they came to Shea, and they came to Landis. And they said, "You need to come play with us." And they had them out to my house, and we had a little barbecue. And they were torn, and I said, "You need to go play there because everything's paid for. It's big time, and that's where you need to go." So they did.
So they honestly brought that up to you and let you know what was on the
They
table?
certainly did. They certainly
That's
did.
pretty noble. You know how kids are when it comes to good conversation.
You know, it was a tough time, but I said, "I want to do what's best for you."
Right.
So I reloaded. So I lost them and some other ones. And lo and behold, along comes Clay Martin.
Hey.
Clay Martin's Nathan Hale.
Yes, sir.
I went over and looked at him play. I saw him on TV today refereeing a game in the NFL.
I'm telling you.
Clay Martin, and I got a guy named Courtney Alexander. Binky.
Y'all throwing some names out here, Doc.
Binky. McLean High School. And some other ones. And we had a really nice team. We get to the state tournament in Oklahoma City. Lo and behold, we're going to play the Tulsa Hawks. And boy, did our guys want to play them. I had some other really good players too. Ronnie Ratliff here in town. I still know all these guys through social media. You know what I mean?
There you go. Relocate them because I'm pretty sure some of them fell off the grid at one time.
Some of them fall off the grid. And so we play them, and we took them right to the wire. Right to the wire, and they were stacked. They were stacked. I mean, every player on their team was Division I. So after the game's over with, Dr. Bryan, or shortly thereafter, he comes to me and he goes, "You need to come coach with us. You need to coach our team." And so
first he was getting players from you. Now he got
to
get you.
And then, he didn't know me.
Right.
Anyway, it was a blessing. And I hooked up with the Tulsa Hawks, and he got me, and he got Coach Bolton at the same time. Coach Bolton was the main man. I was his assistant for the most part, but I was kind of the recruiter. I'm the one that went and got most of the players.
Very necessary.
Got Eric Coley and Dante Swanson, and I go on and on. We'll go all day long on that, on all the players. But that's how I got with the Tulsa Hawks, is they recruited me after they recruited my players. And we had such a great run. So many great players, so many great memories. It was a blessing until a lot of players from Central here. I look around here and I see some of their names up on the wall. Didn't have you for whatever. You were too young.
I think I was too young, man. And I'm about 10 years younger than your son. I'm 33, so I guess I missed.
There you go. You were too young, and so we went through. Last team was year 2000. Year 2000. It got to where it was just me. Dr. Bryan didn't want to travel. We were going to Las Vegas. We were going to Phoenix. We were going to California. And the players, we had Angelo Estes, Freddie Robinson from right here, Central High School, Willie Shannon.
Yeah, McLean, right?
Brandon Queen, Mickey Mahalik. It was a good team, okay? But it just wore me out. And so my kids were getting older, and it was just time to move on. Things had changed. I had started getting players. I don't want to use the word stolen from us, but players like Colin Azabuki, he played for me for a while.
Right.
And then some of these other teams with the shoe contracts were coming in and
dangling that carrot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were other ones. Keaton Page was going to play for me, and things didn't work out on that, and all these other things. Not Keaton Page, his brother, his older brother, Brady Page.
Okay.
He was a tremendous player too.
Yeah.
And so, Tulsa Hawks ended in 2000. Now there are other Tulsa Hawks that I see these days around here, but they're not the Tulsa Hawks.
Can't touch y'all.
No, it was quite a run. So anyway.
Man, you said a lot right there, and is straight up brain food, but the most recent thing that you said, it's like the part of the business where players get quote unquote stolen from you, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
I know it is the business.
Still happens.
It still happens, and it's like we're all people at the end of the day. And I know you, so I know how much time and probably money you invested in some of them, and to have them leave or be taken for whatever reason. Although it's all about the kids and what's best for them, I know that's got to sting a little bit. Like,
It does. The thing that stings the most about it, as I look back over the years of the Tulsa Hawks players, is how some of them kind of fell through the cracks, and you just couldn't help them.
yeah, you talking life now.
One of my main closest kids that played for me was James Hall. James Hall's probably, in my opinion, the best player to ever play in the city of Tulsa. And you can line them up. I know Richard Dumas, the young Richard Dumas, and Wayman Tisdale, and all the rest. But if you ever saw James Hall play, he was the truth.
I hear it all the
And
time.
James got in trouble a few times, and I couldn't save him. But
Gotcha.
he's good now, and everything works out. But and there were some other ones that could have gone Division I, could have gone and maybe played in the NBA, and the street got them.
Yeah,
And they just, peer group pressure, family, lack of family. You can only do so much, because eventually a young man has to make his own decisions in life, and they don't make the right ones sometimes. And so that was the saddest thing. But the best thing about that whole experience, that and my experience through Hardwood Productions when I ran my tournaments, was my relationships with the young kids. Man, what a blessing.
a big blessing.
What a blessing.
And we definitely gonna get to that, because the way you staffed your tournaments from site to site. And man. I was like, man, I don't know what I gotta do to get on this train, but I'm damn sure gonna try. But before we get to that, so when the Tulsa Hawks ended, was that the end of your coaching journey?
Ended it. Never coached again.
Was that intentional, or just sort of played out that way? Wow.
Intentional.
Wow.
Didn't want to do it anymore. I had already at that time transitioned into running events, and that was somewhat of a conflict. You got a team and you got an event, and your team's in that event. That can be sticky.
Yeah.
But I just got to the point to where it was time to move on. And Dr. Bryan and Alan, actually Coach Bolton, and everybody just decided, and I learned so much from all those guys.
Right.
Coach Bolton.
One of those guys.
Coach Bolton could coach some D.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm telling you, and that's the end of the court. That's not that it's necessary. It has to be done, but kids don't love it, man. So when you can get them to buy into it, that's something special, man.
Buy into it or going down the road when you played for us.
There you go, and y'all can afford to do that too.
And Coach Scott.
Oh yeah.
Same way here. If you don't play D, you don't play.
And you're gonna be sitting and stomping and chanting.
That's right.
Okay, so you talked about it, Hardwood Productions. Let me tell you how I remember it. I just remembered that at least once every month there was a Hardwood Productions tournament being put together. And now if we were lucky, we would get some months where there were two.
Correct.
And I noticed that every month had a theme. So you had the
Correct.
MLK Day in January, you had
Right.
Valentine's Day in February, so on and so forth. And I just thought that was super cool. I look forward to, showing up with that $20 to get that T-shirt every month, whether it's short sleeve, long sleeve, whatever color it was.
Funny story.
Right.
So how this all started is when I got out of the natural gas business in 1991.
Okay.
And just decided I didn't want to do that anymore. And I'd had a 20-year successful career in the natural gas business.
Did you have something else lined up before you left, or you were like, "Now I'm leaving first, and then I'll figure it out"?
No, company I was working for got bought out, and they sold us out, and they made me a deal, and I went on down the road, and I did a lot of thinking, a lot of praying, and I decided, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to follow my heart. And so I got to get into some kind of a basketball business.
Always in the back.
So I spent about 4 years raising a lot of money and bringing in a lot of partners. a lot of partners that celebrity types that I was blessed to be able to bring in as my partners.
Right.
And I built a place called Champions Athletic Complex down at 108th and Memorial.
Yeah, which is technically Bixby, right? Or was it?
It was
just before?
Bixby.
Right.
108th and Memorial. Bixby's no longer there.
Man, I remember Champions had a
And
run.
boy, it was the Taj Mahal
Yeah.
when we opened it up. The courts were, we didn't spare anything on that place. 2 beautiful courts, and it didn't work out. My dream became a worst nightmare. After about a year, our business was booming, but a handful of my partners were making my life hell. So,
How does that happen, though? Well, without letting us too far behind the curtain, but what type of troubles could exist in a situation like that if the business is flourishing?
well, it wasn't flourishing enough for them.
Okay.
And we had a lot of debt and, a lot of reasons. When you build a building, like the one here in town, it's a Titan out there now, okay? I know nothing about it. I've never walked inside that place, ever, okay? I don't know anything about it. I do know this. You got to pay the electric bill.
Yeah.
I don't care if there's anything going on there or not. So what you become is a building manager, because you got to keep something going on in there. Can't just be basketball. We had weddings in there. We had homecoming parties in there. We had everything, because you got to get human beings in there. You got to get bodies in there.
Yeah.
I had a little handful of partners there at the top that nothing was enough, and a couple that wanted to have their finger on everything that was going on. And this was my dream that I started out on a napkin and gave my heart and soul to for 4 or 5 years.
Right.
I couldn't get along with them. And so we'll just leave it that we had a parting of the ways. When I had a parting of the ways, they wanted me to go away. They didn't want me to have anything to do with basketball or anything else. And I gave them the middle finger, dude.
Yeah.
And said, no. And I started Hardwood Productions.
Yeah.
Okay, that was in 1998. And I had one of the events that we had when we were there at Champions was called the Hardwood Invitational. And it was a big success. And I thought, you know what?
Might be onto something
I
here.
don't need that gym to do this, because I had all the contacts. I knew all the people and this, that, and the other. So anyway, I put it together. And I made arrangements for gyms at ORU, various high school gyms. We used the aerobic center a lot, used Broken Arrow Community Center a lot.
That's my earliest memory of it.
Broken Arrow Community Center did it for years out there.
3 courts, baby.
3 courts. We had such a good, and so I wanted to do a theme. My very first one was Thanksgiving Shootout, 1998. So I'm trying, you're trying to get teams, you got to get, what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? Okay.
Did you have a limit in your mind? Like, I want this many teams, or you just started
You
hitting
want
folks
as
up?
many as you can get
All right.
that fits in the time. So I thought, why don't we do T-shirts? I got one of every one we did. I got stacks of them.
Collector's items, baby.
I got stacks. And so I met with this guy that had helped me with my logo. And I said, I want to do T-shirts. And he was an artist, a commercial artist. And I'd say, here's the thing. And then I'd kind of give him an idea. And he drew this turkey with a blunderbuss shotgun in his hand.
Yeah.
And a basketball coming out, whatever the hell it was, I don't know. And so we printed them off, and we didn't slot. These were nice T-shirts. Nice T-shirts, 5 colors. They were nice. Stacked them up there. Boom! First day they sold in about an hour. Just boom. I was taking orders from people.
Yeesh.
So I'm running a basketball tournament, but you find out you got another niche business. T-shirt business. It developed out of that naturally. Then you got concessions, and of course gate and all the other things. You think you know what you're doing when you start, just like being a coach. You think you know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing.
And
The main thing that's good in coaching, the main thing in running a business experience, and that only comes with time. So we ran that tournament, and it was a success. I'm like, man. So do a Christmas tournament. After Christmas tournament, the next month.
Okay.
The next month, we do. Well, what's some week do in January? You pick New Year's. So you do a New Year's tournament. You get to February, you do whatever. And so we did all the things. We did MLK,
Yes,
Labor Day, big tournament, Memorial Day.
It's getting warm, school's out.
One year I had 137 teams from 5 states, gyms all over town.
All age groups, boys and
All
girls.
age groups, boys and girls. And as the years went by, that started in 1998. My last one was in 2011. Called it the grand finale. Right before I came here, I got in my closet and I was looking for a T-shirt.
Yeah.
I found a T-shirt in there, the grand finale T-shirt. I wish I'd have brought it. And it had not all, but thousands of team names, all printed on the back of the various teams that had played over that time span. And I look at the name, and I can tell you, I can in my mind's eye look at the team. I can think of the coach. The teams from Oklahoma City, Little Rock, Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas, Springfield, Missouri, Dallas, Texas. We got them from every place. But the downside of it, Coach, was the crazy parents.
You in my head right now, because that's exactly where I was going to go next,
crazy
man.
parents and the crazy fans.
Right.
And it got to the point to where it was getting out of control.
Yeah.
And you're having higher security. And if you don't, I had dozens. I had hundreds and hundreds of confrontations. I had young men like you running my gyms.
Yeah.
And you know what it's like to deal with the crazy people.
And the one thing that you didn't put under the crazy umbrella, crazy coaches too.
And the crazy coaches.
I
I hate to call them coaches, but the crazy guys running the teams.
There you go.
And it just got to the point to where it was just getting dangerous. Dangerous for the people there, dangerous for the kids that are playing in the games. We're having fights.
Yeah, man.
We're having, I'm having a, one thing I want to say, another blessing, my relationship with the basketball officials.
Okay. It's pretty solid, huh?
Band of brothers.
Yeah.
You just like that with the officials. I saw we had Raymond Ships on here,
Yes,
Coach
sir.
Ships. After it all over with, they had me speak at their association and gave me a plaque, made me a lifetime member honorary. I never called a game in my life. Gave me a plaque. I still got that thing.
Honorary, baby.
God bless them all. And I ran into Scotty Davis at
Another
my
good
doctor's office the other day. Big Scotty
Yeah.
and his dad, Greg, and
Saw
I can
Scotty
just
about 2
go on
weeks
and on
ago.
the officials. But when you're in those kind of situations where it's tense, it's intense, and the game officials, you better have each other's back.
Right.
And the one thing that I always did and always prided myself on is having the officials' backs. If the officials, they're in charge of the game.
Yeah.
If they run somebody, my job is to go in there and get them out. And that can get ugly.
Yeah.
That can get ugly. Getting threatening. I got swung at before, threatened, doors knocked down, everything. And it's a wonder I'm sitting here right now. I made it through without getting killed. But anyway, we made it through. But the officials, I love them.
What's really crazy to me is the fact that you said security, and it didn't even register to me before that point that nowadays you have to have security at every venue or else you can't have no matter what type of function it is. But I don't remember seeing one security guard unless it was a parent who showed up off duty during the era that I was around. But I was only, my last time
Coach
I ever
Asbury
played was 06.
Coach Asbury, Tulsa County Sheriff.
There you go.
He played for the Tulsa Hawks. I had him. I had some off-duty police officers.
On standby or
No, there.
once
I
you
paid
needed
him.
them?
I paid him.
Okay.
You have a guy in a gym, and it's a crazy gym. You got crazy team, crazy parents, intense,
Right.
and everybody's going crazy. And you got a dude standing right over there with a gun and handcuffs and a badge.
That can disarm some people.
Everything goes down.
Yeah, there you go.
Because a lot of the people that are up there acting crazy got warrants, and they don't want to have somebody come check their warrants, and they're going to go to jail. That was one. The other reason is I had people like you that worked for me.
Right.
Nicky Harris.
Another one.
Love Nicky. He's coaching now.
Yeah, he is.
You know,
Out
I
there
played
Memorial.
against his daddy in high school. Nicky Harris. I had the Barr brothers. I had the Wallace brothers.
Yep.
Chris and
Chris and
Bo,
Bo.
who are broken era now, and they worked for me. Chris Harris, who plays in the NFL, worked for me. I could just
Reggie
go-
Reynolds.
Reggie Reynolds and his brother Howard Scarborough, who coaches at Union
Yep.
now, and they knew how to handle things. The other thing is that the coaches, even the crazy ones, I had a rapport with them because they knew me and they respected me for the most part.
Right.
And they knew I wouldn't take any bullshit off of them.
Straight up.
And they knew if you act up, you're gone.
Yeah.
And if you set that tone from the beginning, the longer you let it go, it's like a house fire. If you get it when it first starts, you nip it in the bud. And the worst thing you can do is let it go. Okay? And then it's out of control. And so my job was to go, and the guy's acting crazy. I don't care what he looked like. If he was 350 pounds and looked like he was going to just beat my ass, you go up and you look him straight in the eye. You never look away from him, ever. And you tell them, you got to go. And eventually they go. But it got crazy to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore. So after we do our final tournament, I had all these people come in from all over in my last tournament, 2011.
You remember which month?
Oh, man, I don't know.
I'm just thinking of T-shirts right now.
I don't know. Well, it's the Grand Finale T-shirt.
Gotcha.
And so we have all these people come in. And I said, that's it. I retire. Lo and behold, about 6 months later, these two dudes give me a call. And they said, we want to hire you to come back and do tournaments again. No, I can do that again. No.
I'm noticing a pattern with you, Coach. Nothing sounds like a good idea at first. You know what I mean? You got to just weigh on them a little bit, and then eventually he'll come around.
Well, they dangled some money in front of me.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well,
they
there you
said,
go. It's
okay.
good
And I
incentive.
said, here's what I'm going to tell you. You don't want to do this. You don't know anybody. You don't know the coaches. You don't know the people, the venues. They said, well, that's why we want you. And I said, you don't know the coaches. Things can get ugly. So they said, well, we want to do one. I said, okay, we'll do it. So I get them the teams.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, I get the sixth grade boys team from Dallas. I knew them.
Right.
Rough bunch.
Yeah.
Rough bunch, okay. They bring 150 parents, okay. And they don't lose down there in Dallas, okay.
Fair enough.
And the coach is crazy, and the assistant coach is crazy. But I knew him, but I know him. I've known him a long time, so he's up, man. We're hugging each other.
That's
We're
those people skills you got, man, from the
gotta
doc.
have people skills. Well, he's playing this team from Tulsa. Yeah, they don't lose either. So we're at Bixby. We're at Bixby. Used the Bixby gyms there my last few years. And so they play. And the team from Tulsa beats them. And the game's ugly and whatnot.
Yeah.
Comes around to Sunday. We got the championship finals. Guess what? Same two teams playing.
I remember
So this
that
dude
stuff.
says, one of these guys that want to run these tournaments, and they're going to run them all over the country. He says, I want to go down there to the game. I said, I think that's a good idea. I said, you need to go down there. I said, so here's my officials. So I'll get two guys like Major Williams, some Joe Sheets, somebody like that. Somebody that
Ain't scared of nothing.
they ain't scared of shit.
I'm telling you.
Okay. And they're strong officials.
Yeah.
They're going to call the game. Here's right off the bat, any touch, it's a foul. You set the
Set the tone early.
I told the guy, I said, get the coaches together before the game. You talk to them, tell them we're going to have a hard game. We're going to be clean, and we're not going to take crap. And you talk to them, shake their hands, whatnot. But I said, you're going to be down there the whole game. He goes, yeah. So I got Eric Bars and Nicky Harris down there on the clock.
Poor thing.
And running the gate.
Right.
They're tough. They knew what they were
Yeah.
doing. Nicky, 300 pounds.
I'm telling you,
can
man.
handle himself.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Just a big teddy bear, though, but they didn't know that.
Yeah, mild-mannered, but I played against him, so he ain't as nice as you think. Anyway.
Game out of control. They're pitching people out. Come overtime.
Golly.
Dallas team wins at the buzzer or whatever. Ooh. Shaking hands. Coaches boom, bumping each other, wanting to fight. Players wanting to fight each other. This is sixth graders.
Jesus.
Now, the sixth graders that got beards, sixth graders that got facial hair, sixth graders that are dunking it in layup and warm-up drills.
So they just sixth grade on paper. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, I'll never forget. I digress. ORU one year, got this kid from Little Rock, Arkansas, and 11-year-old team. Kid's out there warming up. He's got a goatee and a mustache. Mm-hmm. I told Coach, I said, come here. He says, yeah, I know. You want to talk about number 4? I said, yeah. He says, I got his birth certificate. And I said, I'm sure you do. But I said, when you go back to your hotel, would you please have him shave that mustache? And
that might help some things.
So anyway, guy comes back down after the game's over with, this man that hired me. Mm-hmm. And he was panic-stricken. Yeah. He said, I've never been through anything so bad in my life. And I said, well, that's why I told you don't want to do this shit. Because I said, that's just a taste. Yeah. I said, they don't know you. They don't respect you. They don't have any rapport with you whatsoever. And if you think you're going to do this, you're crazy. He goes, you're right. We don't want to do this anymore. That was the end of that. That was my last tournament.
So y'all only did business once?
After that one? After 2011. It wasn't hardwood. It wasn't hardwood. It was, they called it some other, I don't even know what the hell they called it.
Man.
But it was it was just another tournament. Just like, I mean, we'd have Central Gym. I'd be at Broken Arrow Community Center. I'd be at Oral Roberts Aerobic Center. I'd be at Bixby. I have gyms all over the place, and I got guys like you and Reggie Reynolds, mm-hmm. and guys and Nicky and Bars and Chris and Bo Wallace and Chris Roush.
Yeah, man. Where's old Roush these days?
I don't know.
Good dude.
But I mean, what I'd like to do in this, as I went back and I was trying to recall some of this stuff. I mean, I'm in the environmental business now. I haven't had anything to do with this in almost 12 years. Mm-hmm. It's 11 now. As I'd like to get you and all of the other people that ever worked for me, hundreds of them, we need to get together, and we're gonna have a get together.
I would love that, man. Just let me know how I can help facilitate it, man. We need to reach. We can do it.
I mean, Chris Harris's little sister,
Leah. Or is it Brittany?
Brittany,
yeah. Leah's his wife.
Jaleesa Ships, Jaleesa Walker. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened to Jaleesa Walker. I mean, she was, she married Tiny Gallen and played for ORU. Played for OU, and I went over when she had her baby, and I just lost touch with her. I mean, so many of them, and I'd really like to have a big get together. My daughter doesn't know it, but we'll have it at her house.
We'll volunteer her house.
Yes.
It's gonna happen. What I thought was impressive about that whole deal is and I don't know, I gotta imagine that you had adults somewhere in the operation, but in my recollection, all I could see were the youngsters.
No, just me.
Just you?
Yes, sir.
Did you feel any pressure or any nerves? Like, oh damn, I really am a one-man band in terms of experience.
No.
All right, we're going for it.
You do it enough. The only adults that I would have would be like if we were at Bixby, mm-hmm. the Bixby coaches would be in and out. Coach Paddock, Coach Biddle, people like that. Right. Or here, Coach Scott.
Same thing.
Same thing. Memorial, mm-hmm. Coach Sprague, Coach Savage, who was there now at Sand Springs. Mm-hmm. But other than that, no.
So it was literally trial and error, huh?
No, it was just, well,
From
you
the
know, after a
beginning.
while you get to where you're on automatic pilot. You know what to do, you know how to do it, you know how to handle it, and but the stress of do the team show up? Do your workers show up? Do the officials show up?
On time, by the way.
Can you get in the gym on time? Is it in the summer? Does the air conditioner work? Back in the central gym, back in the day, there's
Yeah,
a
the
gym
back
back
gym?
there in the back gym in the dungeon, and dude, it's 400 degrees in there. Okay, Memorial, that little gym in there.
Yep.
We call the games in there Hardwood X.
I'm telling you.
Hardwood X. Little Reggie Reynolds ran that for me when we used Memorial, and his brother Howard Scarborough, who's a defensive back coach at
there,
Union
yeah.
High School now, love him.
Good
And
dude.
he was tough, scared of nothing, and he'd run the clock in that gym in there with all those crazy people in there.
I'm telling you.
And Reggie called that Hardwood X. I mean, you had to be tough
Had to be
to go
tough,
in
yeah.
there. But the stress of it's a powder keg, and you got anywhere from 3, 4, 5, 6 games going at a time, keeping them on time, keeping everybody under control, making sure you know what's going on, and dealing with all the people. After the game, you learn something about people. It's easy to be nice when you win.
Oh, yeah.
You learn the true character of somebody when they lose. Parents and coaches. How do you act when you lose? Most don't act right.
Right.
And so I had to deal with that. And going and hiding in some room or something and getting away don't work. No. What you have to do when you were in my position is to be up front and right up there. When they walk out, win or lose, be right there. Somebody wants to raise hell with you about something or get up and tell you what kind of an asshole you are and how terrible the tournament was,
Look at me while you do it.
look at me when you do it.
I can respect that, man. You know, I've seen some people in some positions of leadership be very non-confrontational. And, you know, I don't even think you have to have that as one of your personality traits, but you can learn to be okay with it because it's going to come.
You have to be able to deal with confrontation, face-to-face confrontation when you're in those situations. But eventually it beats you down.
Yeah.
Eventually you just, you know, because after the tournament's over with and Sunday night, you've given out all the medals and you're making sure that, you know, AD, you need to make sure that the guys, this team gets the first place medals. You got enough medals. Handing the medals out. Shaking hands with everybody. And then you got to clean the gyms up. And
After
I
you
wanna
fed
ma-
all of us, too.
And then you feed everybody
Yeah.
and do all the stuff. And then I got to write all the checks. I got to pay you guys.
True.
And I got to pay the officials. And you go through, and then you're recounting all the crazy shit that went on that weekend.
Yeah.
I go home. You don't flip that off.
Taking it home with you.
You take it home with you. And when you go to bed that night, all that's going through your head of all the crazy stuff, and I could have done this better, I should have done this, I should have said this, I shouldn't have said that. You know, we all say things we shouldn't say. We sometimes don't say things we should say.
Yeah.
It's life,
It
okay? And when I'd go home, and for 2 or 3 days, you got to detox, dude. You got to detox that out of you. And the next thing you know, you're right back trying to set up the next one. And it's just a cycle like that. And I thought, I got to get off this dude. I got to get off of it. And the Lord blessed me with an opportunity to get into another business. And I look back, I don't regret any of that basketball champions, hardwood, Tulsa Hawks, because of meeting young men like you. That's the reason.
I appreciate that, man. But listen, I would
And
say
your daddy.
Yeah, man. That's my
Uncle
favorite
Ron.
guy. Oh
Uncle
yeah.
Ron.
But you did, and I'm sure you know this, but I'm gonna say it anyway because I'd be remiss if I didn't. But you did a whole lot for the state at the very least, but more particularly this city right here. There was always action, and I can remember when I first started playing AAU, which was in the fall of '99, the '99-2000 campaign. There weren't a whole lot of at least in my
Tulsa
memory.
Titans.
Tulsa Titans, yes sir. There weren't many games in town in terms of teams. You see what I'm saying? But after a while, teams grew, and other players that may have been a tier or two below, they found homes. And then it was like, all right, we got teams, but now where we gonna play? And there was action it seemed like every single weekend. And I used to look forward to that, man.
Yeah. Well, it changed the dynamics of it off the charts.
Right.
Tulsa Hawks, basically one team. We had to pick of the litter. We picked who we wanted. We have a tryout, and we take anywhere from 9, 10, 11, 12 guys. We took whoever we wanted.
Right.
And that was who we got.
The cream of
the
the
rest
crop.
of them didn't have a place to play.
Yeah.
There were a few other teams. Antioch Baptist Church, Reverend Potter.
Yes, sir.
He had a team. Okay. And some players were loyal to him and played with him, and they were good. They were good. But then it started exploding, and then there was all kinds of teams. And when I started my business, it went from just the Tulsa Hawks to all of a sudden now you got, boom, they're all over the place. One of the things I learned was that when you're dealing with a Tulsa Hawks type level of play, or Tulsa Titans, you're talking about players that are elite players.
Yeah.
Okay. But when you're running a business, you got to touch all spots. And there's a whole lot more bad players than there are good players.
True.
There's a whole lot more bad teams than there are good teams. And if you think that you don't want to take into account, how do you mix an event when you got a really bad team and they're playing the Tulsa Titans? That's tough.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the things that evolved, and I had to evolve with it and try to adjust, and sometimes it's impossible to do so. And then there were some competitors started, and Fred Frierson started Gym Time Hoops, and he's been very successful.
Right.
Love Fred, great guy, and he's, he did his thing, and he just kind of, he went on with it. I run into him every once in a while. I see him out, and he's like, "Are you still doing tournaments, dude?" Yeah. Okay.
You're like, good luck to you, huh? You're out of it.
But anyway, I was blessed, and I can't believe that you'd want me here.
Oh.
I mean, you've had everybody on the face of the earth. If
Listen.
you're down to me,
Right.
I'm doing this because
When you first pulled up, you
people
said,
call
"Man,
me. I run into people every once in a while. They say, "Coach Cox." I'm
telling
like,
you.
people don't call me coach. 'Cause I coach the Tulsa Hawks.
Right.
The real coaches are the coaches that coach high school teams.
Yeah.
That's a real coach.
I'll wear that. You know what I mean? It's fun most days, but then you have
It's an honor to be called that by a few people. And when I see the people, all the young men and young ladies that work for me, when I see them or when I have interaction with them on social media, they all still call me Coach Cox.
It's not gonna go
And
away.
some people say, "Coach Cox, what the hell's that?" I say, well, they know me as Coach Cox.
I'm telling you.
And because the people that I'm involved with now, they don't know anything about that.
They don't know
That's
about
in
that
my,
chapter.
That's in my past. No, that's in my past. Now I got two. I'm blessed with two grandsons. I go into their football games, their baseball games.
As a civilian.
I'm a civilian, and I did coach. I did coach my 9-year-old's basketball team when he was 7, I believe. If you want to call it basketball, is one of the, you know how it is. Yeah, ugly. But anyway.
But at least at that age, they try to do everything you ask them to do, right or wrong.
Well, there's funny with them. The same as when I coached the Tulsa Hawks. First thing you do is you sit them down and you tell them something I learned from Coach Buzz Williams, who's at Texas A&M now. You listen with your eyes, and the first thing you do is when I'm talking,
Look at me.
you look at me. Don't look away from me because Coach Buzz, he's A&M now, very close. That's one of the things I got to know a lot of coaches and still have close relationships with them over the years. Is I told those little boys, and you tell them about 5 or 6 times. When I'm talking, you're looking at me. You're not playing grab ass over here and looking over here and looking at mommy and daddy, and And I did the same thing when I coached the toss, my players. I don't care if it was Willie Shannon. I've got to get Willie Shannon on here sometime.
Yeah.
There's a guy for you.
I haven't seen him in some years, man.
Oh, man. I had them out in Las Vegas, and he and all those guys. And you know, you got to stay on them.
Yeah.
But you got to treat them the same way, you know. And it's all about mutual respect. But I tried to treat all the kids that work for me just like they're my own kids. And I loved them just like that, just like you.
Man, the love is right back.
So I appreciate you having me on here.
For sure. And I know you got to run here in a few minutes, so I got a couple more things I want to throw at you.
Sure.
Were you still at the peak of your powers when things got a little dicey in the district of Tulsa Public Schools, meaning the facility usage got a little convoluted?
Yes.
What is your recollection of how and what that was really? I just knew the bottom line.
Well,
we don't have as much gym access as we used to have.
When I dealt with Tulsa Public, I dealt with the service center over there many times. With the, I provided them certificates of insurance, liability insurance for the facilities. I paid them directly and all the rest on those things.
Wow.
Sometimes I didn't because whoever I was dealing with said no. We're not going to deal with them. You'll deal with us directly or whatever.
That's all. That's
When
always what I thought.
when all that went down with Stephanie Spring, who was the director of athletics in Tulsa, they deposed me. I'm over there, and I went over and talked to them and told them every day, I'm an open book. You know, I don't have anything to hide whatsoever. Some were not doing it as an open book. There were things being done that were not correct. It was to the point to where, you know, I'm doing everything above board, and when I pay people, I pay them with checks.
There you go.
I'm not giving money under the table or anything like that. But the ins and outs, whatever happened, what was her undoing, I don't really know what it was, but it was something that had to do with another school, not Central.
Right. Did it affect your operation noticeably?
Zero.
Oh, okay. There you go.
It didn't affect me zero. It affected me zero because the few times that I dealt with Tulsa Public School facilities, I made sure that whoever at the service center knew what was going on. I don't want somebody coming in there and saying, "Hey, what's going on here?" You know.
Right.
Now I've used Webster, Memorial, Central, you name them. Bishop Kelly. We used pretty much every gym in this town. North Maybe, all over the place. But primarily we used the aerobic center at Oral Roberts University, and Bixby High School they wanted us to go out there, and the Broken Arrow Community Center. Everything above board, everything with insurance in place, everything with checks being paid. So
Straight business, man.
Straight business, buddy.
I like it. Here's the last thing I want to ask you. You mentioned very early in our conversation about being a single dad, man.
Yes, sir.
And that's something that you just don't hear about very often. Usually, I think the common mind would assume whenever they hear, "Hey, man, this kid's from a single-parent household," they're assuming it's mom, you know. But what was your experience like as a dad of two? You got two children?
Two.
A boy and a girl.
Yes, sir.
How in the hell was that,
Well,
man?
I was raised by, I was in a single parent family as a little boy.
Is that right? Okay.
My dad died when I was 9, and my mother worked 6 days a week raising my sister and I. I have an older sister, but she was out of the house. And I saw her work, you know, tirelessly. And we didn't have much, but we didn't really know. I think we were poor. We didn't know we were poor. You know what I mean?
My dad said the same shit, man. And I'm like,
everybody else around us was the same way.
But
you
there's
know, I
gotta be
look
some
back
beauty
now,
in that,
like,
though.
damn, we were poor. But anyway, I got married in early 70s.
Okay.
Blessed with 2 children. My daughter, Stacy, and my son, Ryan. their mother, I get divorced 7 years after that, and approximately. And I had what's called joint custody. And then their mother passed away when she was 36, I believe. And so I had full custody of my children. I had full custody of them before that.
Right.
And then I had them as a single parent. I had help from my family members, my mother who was alive then, and my sister and whatnot. But for the most part, I was it. So here's the key. You got to go to their games. You got to go to their events. You got to go to their school functions. You just don't go. You just not go. That ain't acceptable. And so I learned you just make that the priority in your life. That's how my mother did the best she could. But I look back on me, and as a single dad, you go to a Brownies meeting or a Bluebird meeting or what the hell it was. I'm the only dude in there,
Yeah.
All the rest are all the moms in there.
That's right.
And you just get used to it, and it becomes your life and a way in your life, and you adapt. Many, many, many of the players that played for me, maybe the majority of the players that played for me, had one parent. Unfortunately, that's usually a woman. I say unfortunately. That's the wrong thing to say. Take
But
that back.
I know what you mean, though.
They didn't have a father figure
Right.
in the house, a strong father figure, like Uncle Ron was with you.
Right.
Okay. And that can be tough. That can be tough. I could name names of some of them, and I did the best I could. I mentioned earlier some of the players that I had for me, and I know that they didn't have parents. James Hall's a perfect example. If James Hall, I swear to God, if I could have adopted him and had him in my family, he's LeBron James at 6'4".
Straight up.
Straight up. And he didn't have a family. He didn't have any family. It's just a shame. But he's a good person, smart, and just no direction. So that's just an example. I'm not picking on James. I love him.
Yeah.
I still communicate with him on social media. Thank goodness for social media. I mean, we wouldn't be on here right now if it wasn't for social media.
Exactly. maybe not, because I still got your cell phone in my phone. So with or without,
I know.
I would have found you.
But it's just not the same.
Yeah.
What other questions you got for me?
I'm
blessed to be here.
Yes, sir. But I know you got some
I've been
family
following
stuff.
this. I follow all you guys, and I have a family obligation I got to
Yes,
get
sir.
to. But I mean, this has just been a great blessing to come back and see you. God
Man.
bless you.
Likewise, sir. I love you, man. I
Love you.
appreciate you. Yes, sir.